Hello, everyone. Hello, YouTubers. It's Anonymous T. Hope you're having an amazing day today. So today I wanted to do a quick review on Celebrity Big Brother Season 3, Episode 3. As you know, it came on last night, Friday night. It was a 2-hour episode. We had a live eviction, and everything was hitting the fan. So much to get to, but I'll pretty much summarize it. You know, we're still in the midst of Misha's HOH. We know that she has nominated Mariah and Carson. So now we get right into the thick of things. We see now everybody's talking about who they want to play Veto, who they want to get picked for, and this and that. And Cynthia pretty much said, you know, she's team formation. So she wanted to make sure that if she won, that she would take off Carson. But Carson had plans of his own. So it was kind of a memory type of game where the veto competition, where they were putting up these different messages, like these iPhone messages of, you know, oh, this person, you know, they're going to go to the bookstore after Pilates. And you had like a numbers, I think 1 through 7. And it looked like, you know, different storefronts is the way they kind of built it. And you had to put in order, you know, essentially like what your assistant was scheduling for you for the day. And, you know, Lamar Odom said he didn't want to, you know, put a target on himself. So he took a very long time and timed out. Basically, Cynthia, I don't know what she was doing, but she was completely lost in the sauce. And so she did not do well. Misha, the HOH, she did okay. She did second best. I think she got like 7 minutes or something. And, you know, our winner was Mr. Carson. He won the POV. So congrats to him for winning the first POV of the season. And he, of course, obviously is going to use it on himself. Everybody is speculating on who is going to be the replacement mom, who is going to be backdoored. And, you know, everybody's trying to figure something out. And so, you know, Mariah still thinks at this point, she's not sure now that Carson's, you know, up if she's the target or not. And I'm not sure what's going on, like why they don't like Mariah. I still can't figure it out. But anyways, you know, Mariah had this conversation with Lamar Odom talking about race and talking about, you know, how, you know, Lamar's talking about how his grandmother taught him certain things, being Black, being African American, and different things that resonated with Mariah with her being Asian. So it was a very good conversation that they had of both the perspective from her being Asian as well as Lamar Odom being Black. I felt that was a really good segment that they did for that. I do kind of miss on these shows. Like, I feel like we didn't get like a true tour of the house. And especially a true tour of what the HOH room was. So, because at this point, I'm not even sure if Misha has access to, you know, see like what different people are doing in the HOH room, or if that isn't on this season. So I feel like there's just like things that we're just kind of missing, and we're kind of like, we have to like push through, because it was like a 2-hour episode. And so then ultimately, you know, Teddy still thinks that, you know, she's on the chopping block, that she could still potentially get backdoored. And even though her and Misha made a deal previously that they would never put each other up, she's still kind of skeptical. So it was funny because she goes up to Misha's HOH room to kind of plead her case and trying to save herself. And Misha's kind of like, well, I might have to put you up. And you know, Teddy gets into her whole accountability routine that she does on Beverly Hills. And she's like, you know, you gave me your word, and this is not right, and I'm not trying to go home first, and blah, 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 blah. And it was just hilarious. It was just completely and utterly hilarious. But my thing is, my thought process is, okay, if the HOH is basically telling you that you're the replacement mom, get back to campaigning. Stop trying to convince her of all these other things. Like, at least she could have threw somebody under the bus, at least to try to make a different person a larger target than herself. But she didn't even want to do that. It was kind of just like, we made a deal, you know, you promised me this and I promised you that, and we have to be accountable for our actions. And so Misha's like, well, you know, the game can change, and one thing you say today can change tomorrow, and blah, blah, blah. And so Teddy was just not having it. So we truly didn't get to see like how much campaigning she ultimately did, but prior to the veto ceremony, since it pretty much was told her that she would be the replacement mom. And And then Miss Shayna is going full snitch mode and exposing the Formation Alliance, exposing all of these relationships and this and that, and basically throwing herself to Misha to be on her side, to be a part of her alliance and everything else. And I'm just like, girl, these HOHs, especially in Celebrity Edition, are only like a couple of days. It's not even a week for you to be doing all of this. And then Todrick's looking sus because he basically lives in the HOH room. I don't know. He has like some weird thing happening where he's like all about Misha and all into her. And I'm like, dude, you know, this only is like a couple days, right? He reminds me so much of Derek Frazier from last season's. Like all of the way that he's conducting himself, his interactions with certain people, it is just a dead ringer for Derek F. And I just cannot unsee it no matter what. So, and I will say that it seems as though Chris Kirkpatrick is very observant of what is going on. He's taking mental notes of things and trying to see how he's going to maneuver certain things in certain situations. So, but then it's just Todrick has been the main one in Misha's ear trying to convince her to do all this stuff. And he was the person who actually planted the seed about Teddy to just, you know, go back on her word and backdoor her. Because I think, honestly, prior to that conversation, I think Misha was going to go in a different direction. So, but yeah, now Shannon's looped in and all this stuff. And so we get to the veto ceremony. Of course, Carson uses it on himself. And then, you know, Misha has to get up and name a replacement nom. So of course she names Teddy and all hell breaks loose because Teddy's in her feelings. And, but she does some heavy campaigning though, because now it's her and Moira against each other. So there's that. So then we get to, because I'm just going to fast forward because there's like a lot of random stuff that took place that is nonsensical. But we get to the live eviction eventually. And, you know, we still don't know what this Mon Hua thing is. We don't know what this twist is. We don't know if, you know, Cynthia is going to just nominate somebody. But the one thing I did like, the one thing they got right this season was an actual twist. I like the fact that, you know, Julie kind of prepared them, said that the Mon Hua was a Velcro circle that you had to flip around that basically means nom now. So, and instead of it just being something silly like Cynthia going in the diary room and just naming like another nominee, they basically had the same setup that the setup was originally when Cynthia got safety, and that was everybody gives each other the hat, and whoever the last person is that ends up with the hat is actually going to end up on the block. And I found that to be very interesting. And not only on the block, like they're not going to be a third nominee. They're going to be replacing either Teddy or Moira. And I apologize if I'm butchering her name. I completely apologize. I want to say it's Marie. I think it's Marie. Sorry about that. But you could replace either one of those. And then basically the celebs would have to decide between whoever the new nomination and whoever they, decide not to replace that sits next to them, who is going to be going home. So from there, it was a very interesting arrangement that, you know, they decided. Like, I was so confused with certain people, and I was confused as to why Todrick didn't choose anybody black. Like, I was all lost. I was completely lost in the sauce of what he was doing. He was not giving me the same energy that he does in the conversations that he has with Lamar Odom and Todd Bridges and everything else. And so it ends up being, and that's when I was kind of felt a certain way. I was like, oh, we're back to what usually happens. Somebody black ending up on the block, because it came down to Lamar Odom and it came down to Todd Bridges as one of the two people who would be the replacement noms. And so Chris Kattan had to decide between the two of them who he was going to save. So he ends up saving Lamar Odom, and you can hear Todd Bridges in the background like saying, I knew it, basically. And then when they went to commercial, there was just so much activity going on. And the one thing I liked about this twist and the fact that it was live was that it doesn't give them enough time to strategize or conspire on how they were going to do the order of who was going to, you know, do what. They didn't have that much time to really, you know, get into the thick of things. And then they really didn't have much time when Todd was named the replacement on. And so I didn't want Todd to go. I hate it when we're back to the old version of Big Brother where like somebody black goes home first. Like I was like, please, let's not do that. Let's not go through all of this only for somebody black to go home. So Todd ends up taking Marie's space, and it's him and Teddy on the block. So it was just crazy. And I was thinking to myself, I'm like, does Todd have the votes? Because I wasn't sure, because based off of the edit that he's getting on the show, we really don't know his relationships, and we don't know Chris Kattan's relationship. We know that Todrick basically has a relationship with everyone in the house, but we don't know really Todd's relationships or Chris Kattan's relationships. We know that people are utilizing Lamar for their own personal, you know, reasons, to have him as a shield and have him as a part of their voting block for certain things. But we have no idea about Chris Kattan or about Todd Bridges and their allegiances. So what ends up happening is we get to the vote. And it was a very interesting vote because Carson and Cynthia and Chris Kattan, they voted to evict Todd Bridges. So that was very interesting. Whereas Lamar, you know, he voted to keep Todd. Todrick voted to keep Todd, and I actually was shocked. I thought he was going to go rogue. Chris Kirkpatrick voted to keep Todd, and I was shocked about that too, because I thought that, you know, they were trying to build something too, or him and Teddy were trying to build something, but maybe, you know, he was just ready for her to go as well. And you know, Shayna switched up. Shayna went and voted out Teddy, who was her friend. So that was wild. That was very, 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 very wild. And of course, Marie, she definitely voted out Teddy. She was like, screw this, like, eye for an eye, get out. So a lot of stuff has happened on live feeds, and, you know, it was funny because, the one thing I wanted to say prior to the vote is when they asked Todd to give his speech, he basically was like, do whatever you got to do, and sat down. And it was giving me last season when, you remember when Azza and DF, they were making music and saying, do what you got to do or whatever. It was just hilarious. But anyways, by a vote of 5-3, Teddy is eliminated. I was ecstatic. Even though she was starting to, you know, get into game mode a little bit, it was just, she just needed to go, because it sounded like there was some stuff happening on the live feeds where she was saying some things that were not cool, that were inappropriate. And I think people were just over her and ready for her to get out of that house. But then it's funny because immediately after it is announced that Teddy's evicted, Lamar Odom is completely confused. He's lost. He doesn't know what's supposed to be happening. And he's like, so do we walk her out? Can I sit back down? Like, what is happening? Chris Kattan was confused when he came back from giving his vote. He's just standing there in front of Misha, like, what do I do? What do I do? And then they finally tell him to go sit down. Like, everybody is completely lost. Nobody knows this game except for Chris Kirkpatrick and a little bit of Todrick, and everybody else is clueless. Everybody else is just, they are just there. They are atmosphere. They're just taking everything in. Lamar Odom is asking why Teddy's picture is changing. like he said so many things in like a 45-second clip. He was telling people not to cry because it wasn't a funeral. Like, it was just too much. It was just too much. It was hilarious. It was completely and utterly hilarious. But now there's drama that we were kind of seeing before the show went off with Formation, because I think they were upset with Cynthia and Carson for still voting to keep Teddy. And maybe they were thinking in their mind that they were still trying to be loyal, or they were trying to give sympathy votes, but it just looked bad. So now, but they weren't expecting Shayna to flip either, but they wanted to make sure. But either way, Teddy was going. She had the votes. She didn't have the votes to stay no matter what. So, but yeah, you just don't want to kind of out yourself at this point, this early in the season, where this season goes by quickly. We only have a few more weeks, and it's like, what are you doing? So hopefully Cynthia and Carson can stay safe for a little while, and hopefully whoever the new HOH is, even though I know who the HOH is, but I don't want to spoil it for the casuals who are watching. I will do that in a separate video, but I hope that, whoever wins HOH, and if it's not Cynthia and if it's not Carson, that they do not end up anywhere on the block. I was surprised that nobody wanted to nominate Todrick, and that just shows that he has one heck of a social game, but he still is exposed because he's in all of these different alliances. And so then Teddi comes out, and so she was shocked by a few of the votes because she was shocked that a couple people had betrayed her. So, but she did give a good insight and a good read on the house that I appreciated, because she pretty much said that Lamar Odom and Chris Kattan are going to sleep their way to the end. And I think they will. I think that this woe is me, I want to go home thing that Lamar Odom is doing is an act. I do not buy it for 1 second. He can threaten to quit as much as he wants, but I don't buy it. I think it is part of his strategy. And then when it gets towards the end, he's really going to beast out and try to get in that one of those final chairs. I truly believe that to be the case. But he's still clueless about the game, because I think he was asking on one of the feeds about jury and how does that work, and why did people he voted out has to vote for him to win, and it doesn't make sense to him. That's not like championship pedigree level of stuff to do. Like, he's just completely out of it. So it is hilarious to watch Lamar Odom navigate, like it's like reality TV gold seeing him, in this space. But let me know your guys' thoughts. What did you guys think? I do think I was very concerned the first episode. I felt the second episode was a little bit better, and I felt last night we kind of got moving on some things, and I wanted to do a separate video as to why it took 9 days for the live feeds to come on, because that's a whole separate set of drama as well of what allegedly took place and what allegedly happened. But it seems as though things seem to be getting on a better track right now. I felt last night was good. Like I said, I really love the twist. I like the twist where you can think, where you're forced to quickly think on your feet and do something, versus the ones where you have so much advance time and advance notice to try to strategize, to try to get with your alliances and try to do stuff. Whereas since this was live, there was not a lot of room for people to, figure out what they could do or how they could maneuver certain things, or if they had a different replacement nomination in mind. It was just, they had to just get right to it and do it. So I definitely like that. And I think that's something they should incorporate in future seasons. I also think they need to incorporate a fan vote. We need to be a part of the process, and we need to decide who we want out of the house. That's what I think. The HOH can still make their nominations, but I think they need to involve the fans more, especially with us being in a pandemic and, some of us having nothing to do. Some of these nights, but who are hardcore and diehard Big Brother fans. I think having fans a part of the process would be amazing. I think we should have a power, like how Tamar Braxton got a power. I think because at that time she was at risk of potentially, leaving because they were trying to get her out. So it was nice that she had that power, she had that safety, and, it really catapulted her to the end. So I am hoping we get something. I'm hoping we can vote. We can have an impact and vote out a house guest. I'm hoping we can give a house guest who might be vulnerable a power. I feel like now Cynthia's playing an Ozza type of game where she's just telling everybody the truth to their face. And you would think normally in Big Brother world this would be a problem, but it may actually work to her benefit to keep her safe. Like it's madness. It is madness out here in these Big Brother streets. But I'm happy that these celebrities are a lot more chill and subdued than like the regular cast. Like I felt like some casts from previous seasons of just regular Big Brother were super entitled, were very arrogant, very dismissive, and I feel like overall this crew is very chill. Like nobody's trying to do too much. There's a couple people who want the attention on themselves, but for the most part everybody's pretty chill. Everybody gets along. Everybody's kind of, in a neutral zone to where, they're really receptive of each other and, talking to each other and having difficult conversations about different things that are happening in the world. So I appreciate that, but let me know your guys' thoughts. Do you guys think now that the season is heading in a positive direction? Do you think things are picking up? Because I think when the cast was announced, I was very concerned. But even though they're not giving me the drama I wanted, it's a different type of drama to where people are playing smarter, not harder. So it's like they're exposing people, but at the same token, they're not immediately reacting to that exposure. They're planning ahead for how they're going to utilize that information, which is what you do as a strategist. You don't always want to react to information, but you want to strategize how you can make the information work for you and further your game. So I do appreciate that from this cast. Even the people who are completely clueless about the game, at least they're trying to clue something into them about certain things to navigate. So that is pretty cool. But let me know your guys' thoughts in the comments, what you guys think of the last episode of the elimination. And I believe we have a new episode coming this Sunday. So stay tuned. Please do not forget to like, comment, and subscribe to this video, and also hit the notification button so you're notified the moment I post new content. And I will talk to you guys again soon.